If you've built all the stamina in every single Daily 5 station and you're finally ready to launch book clubs, you're going to love this guide today because I'm going to walk you through exactly what you need to do to set up Daily 5 book clubs. Hi, I'm Molly and I'm a 5th grade teacher, but I've also taught kindergarten and 1st grade, and I'm in my 11th year of teaching, and I love to share tips and tricks on how to use Daily 5 in your elementary classroom so you can get to all of your small reading groups and work with your students in a small group setting and have other kids working independently. That is truly the goal of Daily 5. Your students are working independent, autonomously, because you've trained them to do that. And props to you if you've built the stamina and all the other stations. That is the toughest part, but once you do it, it really is a smooth sailing ship inside of your classroom. It works so well when you have a substitute, even if they don't pull small groups. And when an administrator walks in and they see you working with a small group and other kids are working independently, and all those kids can tell the administrator exactly what they're doing and the purpose, you are going to be so pleased with the hard work that you've put in. So like I mentioned before, the point of Daily 5 truly is to get to book clubs. Now, you might call it small group or guided reading. It has a variety of names, but it's when you're pulling kids back to your teacher table to work with them in a smaller setting. Now, we've seen trends over the years where small groups will come and go, and I know the teachers that I work with, we're all now experiencing this, that small groups are coming back. For a while, there was a big push to just do whole group, and while I do whole group lesson as well, I'm not advocating for getting rid of that. Whole group lesson needs to occur. The small groups are so important, and you'll find that if you've never pulled a small group before, you'll really love the conversations you have with your students during that time, especially in the upper grades. Like I mentioned, I've taught kindergarten and 1st grade, and those kids are learning how to read, so you might be working on letter ID, phonics, CVC words, and they might be beginning reading skills for those grades. When I switched to 5th grade, I learned that I could have book clubs and have chapter books with all of my groups, different levels, of course, and different skills that we're working on. The conversations were really great during that time because my students wanted to read the book to keep up with the group, so they were motivated. I always pick a book that they haven't heard of because now I'm 37 years old, so I'm quite a bit older than them. So books from the 80s and 90s, they really haven't been familiarized with. So you can pick books that they don't know about that really ignite that passion for reading. And I've seen that firsthand the last few years in 5th grade. I even made a book list for you over on my Amazon storefront, so I'll include the link down below in the description box. If you're a 3rd, 4th, or 5th grade teacher and you're curious what kind of books you could use for book club, I've listed all the ones that have been successful for me and that my students have truly loved, so go check that out. And as always, come over to Instagram and you can send me questions about book club and we can chat in the DMs. I mentioned that book clubs are going to vary per grade level. So I'm not going to tell you in this video exactly what to teach. That's up to your curriculum and what your school requirements are. And of course, Daily 5 never tells you what to teach either. It's a system to structure your literacy block. But having taught kindergarten and 1st grade before, I do know the small groups would depend. There was kids working on letter ID. They still didn't know their letters. Some kids didn't know letter sounds. Others were ready for CVC words and tapping sounds out. Other kids were ready for reading very simple sentences and just having a different book almost every day, working on those reading skills and sight words as well. 2nd and 3rd graders are probably ready for a little bit more. 2nd grade might be leaning more towards those 1st graders. It just depends. But you might have kids ready for smaller chapter books. 3rd grade, you might have kids ready for bigger chapter books. So what does Daily 5 Book Club really look like? Well, you are having all of your students working on independent tasks. The tasks usually relate back to the whole group lesson, and you are pulling kids over. So I like to put the SmartBoard chart up every single day. You've seen that probably in my classroom before, and the kids know what choice they're going to. Even in kindergarten, I train them how to do it, and it takes a little bit longer, but they figure it out. So when you see BC on our SmartBoard chart, my students know to come back to my teacher table. They bring over with them their book tub that has all of their Daily 5 book club items inside of it, including a pencil, so they're ready to go. But I always have extra supplies at my teacher table just in case they need them for whatever reason. So they sit down with me and we usually go over what we read last time to kind of review, to prime our brains to get ready for, and to see if, check in with them if they've done their assignment. This is never homework for my students. It's just classwork that they have to get done in another Daily 5 station. They can do their book club homework inside of the read to self choice or work on writing. I don't care when they get it done, especially older kids. They like the autonomy of you saying you get it done as long as it's done by the time you come back to book club. This should not be something you ever have to take home. It just needs to get done during Daily 5. So we go over what we read last time and we just have an open conversation and chat. Then we dive into what skills we're going to be working on in this next part of the book club session, and we talk about the purpose so that my students know exactly why we're working on what we're working on and the skills that we're going to use, because then they're going to have to go apply this independently once we are done with the lesson. Sometimes we might have enough time to actually dive in and read a little section. I found that 5th graders love to read out loud in the book club setting and they like to take turns. So if we have enough time, I allow them to do that. And then after book club, I remind them of what the assignment is, and then I write it on the board for them so that it's always visible and they don't have to keep asking me and interrupting my next book club asking me what they're doing. That is how book club runs for 3rd, 4th, and 5th grade. I imagine in kindergarten, 1st, and 2nd grade, they might not have book club homework, but they might have like a bag of letters or something that they're taking back to their seat to work on during their word workstation. I oftentimes would do that. Or if I had books that they were reading, they would go practice it. They could go read it with someone. If there was a volunteer in the room, then they're getting that extra practice sounding out the words that they're working on. I'm curious what you do in your Daily 5 book clubs. You can let me know in the comments below. If you are looking for those book club ideas, I do have an Amazon storefront where I earn a commission if you go ahead and buy those books. But regardless, you can just get ideas for them. Maybe just go look at the books. You might have an awesome book room in your school and you don't need to buy anything. I've taught at schools where the book room was super comprehensive and we had everything we needed. And then I've taught at schools where I had to actually buy the books, but it was worth it to me because then I owned them and I could use them year after year with my students. And most of the books that I recommend on this list are older, and so they're lower cost on Amazon. What questions do you have about Daily 5 Book Club? Let me know in the comments below. And remember, I have another video about Daily 5 Book Club, so you can check that out on the playlist. I would love to chat with you over on Instagram, so remember, send me a DM and let me know how book club's going. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you next week.